Ecclesiastes. It's either all for something or all for nothing. That's at least what I can tell you. Um, I am.
Chapter 4.
Did I put 3?
I don't know. It hasn't shown up for me
I
yet.
think I did put 3.
We've had 1 through 3 already.
Do you mind fixing that through to 4 through 5, pretty please?
Yeah.
And what was Ecclesiastes? 8.
Elizabeth sent balloons.
Thank you for the balloons. Oh, and the text. Oh, awesome. Thank you for the balloons, Elizabeth.
That's really cute.
All right, so we're in chapter 4 then. I guess I went back for some reason. I don't know why. All right, guys, so real quick too, before I go too far, and this is just going to be a quick one, but if you guys are interested, I met this gentleman today, and you can't read that book. Let me flip this around. It's called As You Go. It's by Victor Dawson. I actually met the author of this book today, and it talks about spark a conversation that impacts eternity, which what a amazing thing to be able to do. So this gentleman was awesome. Victor, if you're watching, thank you for your time. Thank you, Duke, my discipleship mentor, for introducing me. But we're going to be studying this book after Ecclesiastes. I do have that biblical history, so it's going to be one of the next two. Maybe we'll do them at the same time. That would appeal to my shiny object syndrome, but I'm going to try and stay focused. So, all right, without further ado, Ecclesiastes chapter 4. It talks about, let's see, then I returned and considered all the oppression that is done under the sun. And look, the tears of the oppressed, but they have no comforter. On the side of their oppressors there is power, but they have no comforter. Therefore I praise the dead who are already dead, more than the living who are still alive. I praise the dead who are already dead, more than the living who are still alive. Yet better than both is he who has never existed, who has not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. Oh, you are? It's like, sure you are. Nicole's over here just throwing distractions. So this talks about the vanity of selfish toil, which I feel like many of us, as we talked about a little bit earlier today, it's just like you can get so caught up. Actually, this gentleman, he was talking about it. I didn't know what the book is about, but it talks about getting wrapped up in life, and then all of a sudden you're faced with potentially a life-changing, monumental moment where you realize like everything comes into perspective. But in this it says, again, I saw that for all toil and every skillful work a man is envied by his neighbor. This also is vanity and grasping for the wind. The fool folds his hands and consumes his own flesh. Better a handful with quietness than both hands full together with toil and grasping for the wind. Then I returned, and I saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone without companion. He has neither son nor brother. Yet there is no end to all his labors, nor is his eye satisfied with riches. But he never asks, for whom do I toil and deprive myself of good? For all this also is vanity and a grave misfortune. And I actually, what's going on, Quinn? How are you? Yeah, the Bible's awesome. It's my life manual. If any of you guys know Alex Hermosi, he's one of my favorite guys to follow for business content. But I was kind of trying to understand his deeper motivations, and he's a wealthy guy. He's got a lot going, a lot of success, and a lot of great things to share. Many that seem super obvious, but at the same time extremely applicable. But when I look at this, I'm looking at his underlying motivation because it's solely focused on building business and generating income and revenue. It feels like it does seem like vanity. And I was kind of curious if that might end up being some part of the motivation. And I'm not to say that we're not all selfishly motivating ourselves in different ways to benefit ourselves or our causes, right? But I feel like when you're reading through this, you think of somebody who's just strictly building a worldly kingdom. And I feel like this just paints that picture of he doesn't even want to go back to talk to his parents, it sounds like, because it seems like a lot of bitterness. But he talks a little bit about his relationship with God and exploring his spiritual faith-filled journey, which I feel like to me just leaves a lot to be desired in the essence of looking at how quick things of the world come and go. I think about that in the sense of working out. It takes about a third of the time to lose your workout results as it did to gain them. The Moon Boy, we talking about the Bible? Yes, we are. In Ecclesiastes, Quinn says, yeah. Moon Boy, quick question. I grew up in an atheist household. Do you guys mind answering? No, not at all. This is an open community, so there's I would say encouragement. I didn't grow up in that household, so I have no clue. So I'll be answering a lot of questions maybe from a very ignorant perspective, but I'm down to do it. So go ahead and type your questions. I'm going to keep going, but it says the value of a friend. 2 are better than 1. Obviously, you can't be friends with yourself because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. It's actually interesting that he mentions that because that's what the biblical form of marriage is called, a 3-cord strand, which I feel like you're like, yeah, but only 2 people are getting married. Well, it's because God is that 3rd cord. And I feel like what happens there is there's an extra layer of strength because those individuals are looking outside themselves to have, it's like a constructive criticism. Like the Bible can get away with saying things to you that you can't to your spouse or your best friend or anybody, right? I mean, there's a large amount of truth that can hit you like a punch in the stomach from reading this book. The Moon Boy said, did Jesus ever do anything for fun, or was he all business? That's a good question. I would think that he probably found joy in what he was doing. Maybe you can search that up and see if you can find anything.
Which one?
Did Jesus do anything for fun? I think that the one time he went away from his parents, he went back into the church or the temple, and he was engaging with the other, I don't know, scholars, religious leaders. I can't remember. Unimpressed. The Bible also has a lot of really messed up stuff. It does. Unimpressed. Literally yesterday we talked about the famine being so prevalent in I don't remember what time it was, but it was in 2 Kings. We read about the famine being so horrific that people bought a donkey's skull to eat. And they were talking about 2 women came up with an agreement to boil their children and eat them. But is that not a sign of seeing that fallen aspect in our society? I mean, somebody just killed a guy for preaching the truth. Imagine what people do when they're starving. The Moon Boy, if I remember correctly, he hung out with a bunch of fishermen, but I don't think he ever went fishing. Well, so here's the funny part. I'm going to tell a funny fishing joke now that you brought it to my attention. But Now you know it's just a conceptual thing. Leave here to pick up my son, but I find it really funny that you say that because Jesus couldn't have fished because he only told the truth. And so if he did, he would have had to lie about the size of fish he caught. Sorry. Anyways, I thought that was funny. Just occurred to me. But anyways, popularity passes away. Better a poor and wise youth than an old and foolish king who will be admonished no more. For he comes out of prison to be king, although he was born poor in his kingdom. I saw all the living who walk under the sun. They were with the second youth who stands in his place. There was no end of all the people over whom he was made king. Yet those who come afterward will not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and grasping for the wind.
Yeah, and it says, the Gospels show that Jesus did enjoy ordinary human things. He wasn't all solemn seriousness. He attended weddings, turned water into wine, not out of necessity, but to keep the joy of the occasion going. He shared meals often. His comments about lilies of the field and birds of the air show someone who took time to notice and enjoy creation. He says there's also a gentle thread of wit and irony in his teaching, clever wordplay like a camel through the eye of a needle, a plank in your eye. These weren't grim pronouncements, they were memorial and often humorous ways to make a point.
Interesting. I don't know if I would have interpreted that as necessarily humorous, but I think that that's the thing is we kind of forget that these, like Jesus and God had very human-like attributes. He was a fisher of men. Yes, correct. This is the best live I have seen in a while. Thank you, Quinn. I appreciate that. We're trying to keep it A+ territory, hopefully. Nam says, I grew up going to a Christian school that tainted my view of the Lord. I'm glad has welcomed me back. Amen. Yeah, and honestly, you're going to find there's a lot of horrible teaching out there. So the goal is to get into it for yourself. That's why I'm reading through this. I don't know if I trust myself to convey just speaking from my own memory because there's so much in here, and I could even inaccurately portray it just in reading it. I know that's another argument for another time, but the Moon Boy but doesn't say anything about him like kicking a ball or playing any sort of old-time board game. Do you guys do this every day? Because I want to know more, but I have to go. Yes, Quinn, this is a daily thing, Monday through Friday, and I do try to sometimes get it on Saturday and Sunday. Please come back, like and subscribe if you like the content. Appreciate your time. Okay, so chapter 5, because I'm going to have to roll. Walk prudently when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they do evil. Do not be rash with your mouth, and let not your heart utter anything hastily before God. For God is in heaven, and you on earth. Therefore let your words be few, for a dream comes through much activity, and a fool's voice is known by his many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you have vowed. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay. I say, measure your words, and words are more valuable than you may know. Do not let your mouth cause your flesh to sin, nor say before the messenger of God that it was an error. Why should God be angry at your excuse and destroy the work of your hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words there is also vanity, but fear God. I think people, especially right now, we have this hyper Christianity where there's all hyper grace, sorry, not hyper Christianity, but hyper grace in Christianity, where it's just like you can do whatever and God's going to bless you. But we forget that this is the same God who nearly wiped out the entire population on the planet. So in that essence, be mindful, right? Be mindful of the God that we serve. If you see the oppression of the poor and the violent perversion of justice, and righteousness in a province, do not marvel at the matter. For high official watches over high official, and higher officials are over them. Just like we're seeing in the United States right now. We think that we're like the leader of nations, but we can obviously see things happening above the leader of our nation. Moreover, the profit of the land is for all, even the king is served from the field. He who loves silver will not be satisfied with silver, nor he who loves abundance with increase. This also is vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eats them. So what profit have the owners except to see them with their eyes? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not permit him to sleep. There is a sincere evil which I have seen under the sun, riches kept for their owner to hurt, but those riches perish through misfortune. When he begets a son, there is nothing in his hand. As he came from his mother's womb, naked shall he return, to go as he came, and he shall take nothing from his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. We don't get to carry it after we die. And this also is a severe evil. Just exactly as he came, so shall he go. And what profit has he who has labored for the wind? All his days he also eats in darkness, and he has much sorrow and sickness and anger. Here is what I have seen. It is good and fitting for one to eat and drink, and to enjoy the good of all his labor in which he toils under the sun, all the days of his life which God gives him, for it is his heritage. As for every man to whom God has given riches and wealth, and given him power to eat of it, to receive his heritage and rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God. For he will not dwell unduly on the days of his life, because God keeps him busy with the joy of his heart. And that's the end of the chapter. And I gotta run, guys, because I'm already late. So I apologize. I can look at questions as I run out the door. Thank you are you answering questions too?
Yeah. One prayer request so far.
Okay, Irish prayer request. Okay, yeah, let's go and see how my service does on the road. I'll be back. Thank you. All right, guys, so we're rolling here. Pray for you, Irish. Our stamp, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just dropping some hope and encouragement for you guys. Irish says, oh man, I can't stop chewing tobacco. I was off it for a while, but when my mom died last year, I went back on it. I need prayers. So yeah, we do pray for Irish as he struggles with that addiction. We just ask God that you can release him from it. And something that I've suggested recently is to practice killing your flesh. And I hope that this doesn't get choppy, but practice fasting and saying no to the desires of what your body wants. I just recently had tried this with because I was having problems with lust, and so I wanted to kill the flesh, so I denied it, and I working really well since that. So I feel like that there's been a change in my approach. Can anyone help me, please? Sure. With an MP, just subscribe. Thank you, R Stamp. So I'm gonna go into some other prayer that I can remember.